Ninth race. They're in the gate. And they're off. Ruby Ray bounces out smartly. Fluent has speed. And Glenall on the outside. And Fluent with the pedal to the metal is sprinting clear. Opens up 4 lengths. Ruby Ray and Glenall are side by side. And down at the rail, it's Scenic Masterpiece in 4th and making some headway. A gap of 5 back to Angel Nadeshiko and Dear Bow at the back of the field. Fluent heads past the half-mile pole with a 2.5-length cushion on Ruby Ray in second. Scenic Masterpiece continues to advance along the rail and now taking the second spot. A 3-wide Glenall is next, has 5 lengths to make up, 2 clear of Dear Bow, and at the back of the field is Angel Nadeshiko. They have a 1/4 mile to run, and Fluent is still in complete control. 5-length lead, Scenic Masterpiece from the back of the field. Dear Bow rallying inside of Ruby Ray. A 16th to run. Fluent by 3.5. Scenic Masterpiece and Glenall both chasing with determination, but Fluent just ran them off their feet. And Fluent takes them coast to coast. Glenall was second. Scenic Masterpiece third in front of Ruby Ray and Angel Nadeshiko.
Tell me you're a horse player without telling me you're a horse player. Well, you know what? Yesterday, if you gambled on the races at Santa Anita, you were definitely a horse player. $13 million was wagered on our 9-race card, $5 million of which was in new money in the Pick Six pool. Congratulations to all the winners. The 20-cent Pick Six paid in excess of $6,000, and the $1 Golden Hour Pick Four had its largest pool ever since the inception of that wager. Those skilled ticket holders also cashed for in excess of $900. Our guest today, he's already told me that he's a horse player without telling me a horse player. You know why? At the age of 16, he was motivated to get his license. Of course, you always want to get your license when you're a kid, but his reason was he wanted to be able to drive back and forth between the Santa Anita daytime signal and the Los Alamitos nighttime signal. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Quigley, VIP Player Concierge, also your seminar host for the next 40 minutes. And our guest today is a horse player, but more importantly, he's a $1 million winner gambling. He's going to tell us that story in just one moment. But of course, there is no carryover in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick Six. We start things fresh off today, and we have 8 races beginning at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. But without further ado, let's bring in my special guest for today. He's horse player Chris Piper. Chris, welcome to the seminar.
Thank you, Tom.
It's great to have you here. Now, I teased that when you were a kid, you got your license at the age of 16, so you could do what we affectionately call the degenerate doubleheader here in Southern California, the ponies during the daytime and the quarter horses at night. It's been in your blood to be a horse player for quite some time.
Yes, it has. I love horses. Like I said, or like you said, going to Santa Anita, Los Alamitos, or Del Mar, Los Alamitos, it didn't matter. I had it in my blood. I always went, and it's still in my blood.
Now, were your parents aware that you were doing this? Were they horse players as well? Did they introduce you to the track?
No, they were not horse players. They knew about it, but they said, do whatever you want to. You know, you're almost an adult, so go ahead and do whatever.
How did you get attracted to the horses? What was the first introduction to the ponies?
Pretty much Secretariat, Seattle Slough when I was younger, and there was a horse here that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but that was the horse that kept on winning, and it was just basically, I don't know. I always loved going to the track and meeting new people or whatever. I was young, but it was just like meeting everybody. There used to be 40 to 50,000 people here, and it was great. I enjoyed it. I loved it.
Now, you took a little bit of a break because for 4 years you served in the military in the Air Force branch. Thank you for your service. While you were stationed down in Florida, did you kind of finagle your way to one of the Florida tracks?
Well, of course. I love the dog racing. I love the horse racing at Gulfstream. At that time, Hialeah was running, Calder was running, so I used to go down there too. And I don't know, horse racing is always in my blood. I love sports, but horse racing is always in my blood.
It's funny you say that because we know you love racing, but we also know that you love to wager on sports as well. And I'm going to set the table here and you can tell the story. But most people watching this seminar probably think that the most important game of the NFL season was the recently concluded Super Bowl where the Rams beat the Bengals. But in your view, I have a feeling that's not the case because on January 9th, the Washington Commodores, now called Commanders, I should say, Washington Commanders beat the New York Giants. And as a result, that put a cool $1.2 million into your pocket. Based off that victory, you were one of the 5 skilled contestants to win the Circa Survivor Pool. You had to pick 20 games consecutively without a loss. There were over 4,000 people that participated in that tournament. You were one of the 5, and you put $1.2 million in your pocket. That has to be an incredible feeling.
It was the biggest hit I ever made in my life. It was more than horse racing, hit it a pick 6 or whatever, but it was the greatest time or whatever. Going 20-0, I went 20-0. And that last game was it was tough, but hey, Washington pulled it out against the Giants.
It was winner take all of a $6 million purse. So effectively, you were potentially going for a $6 million score, not realizing the other teams that the other 4 winners wound up having. But all of you won, and that therefore you split the $1.2 million. What was it like during the season? Of course, there were 4,000 people who all thought they were going to win, but slowly, one by one, they started to drop off. As you got deeper and deeper into the season, you must have been immersed in looking at everything imaginable.
It was a tough year because of COVID. You always had to look at the injury reports, the COVID list, and seeing the teams that could compete out there or whatever. And that was the bottom line. Was I had a couple games that just basically went my way. One was Minnesota played Detroit, and they were down, and they scored with the last seconds a field goal, 55-yard field goal, and that was one of the big games. Then I was down by 14 with Baltimore and played Minnesota, and they came back and won by a field goal. And then the Packers had Cleveland. Thank you, Baker, for throwing 4 interceptions. That basically got me there also, because it was like if they run the ball, they'll win the game. But for some reason they didn't. They put it in Baker Mayfield's hands, and he helped out all of us basically. I think all 5 of us had the Packers.
Now, you only put up $1,000 to enter the tournament, and of course, you were going for potentially $6 million, or in your case, with everybody winning $1.2 million. Coming into that last game when you were 19-0 and looking to remain undefeated, did you kind of hedge a little bit and put a little something on the New York Giants?
Yes, I did.
Yeah?
Yes, I did. I put $250,000 on the Giants just in case.
So you just torched that money, no problem, you know?
I torched it. My son basically talked me into it. I didn't really want to do it, but I said, let's do it. So I put $100,000 on the money line, which was going to give me back like $260,000, and then I had +7. So just in case I middled the game or whatever, I was trying to do that, but the Giants are so pitiful, it wasn't going to happen.
Now, you actually used your real name in the contest, unlike most of the players who were using a nom de plume. But there was a strategic reason why you did that. Tell us why.
Well, I did that because I thought if I ever got down, I didn't think I would, but when I get down to maybe week 16, 17, 18, maybe someone would like, let's make a deal, and let's talk to each other or whatever. But no,
it happens in poker tournaments a lot as an example.
Sure,
even at the track with a pick 6 or with a live pick 6 ticket.
Right.
People have been known to invest or hedge.
Right, but these people didn't want to hedge, so I said, okay, it's all or nothing or whatever in a sense. So I just kept on.
Now, there's a lot of owners and trainers watching this seminar, and I'm sure they're kind of drooling at the prospect of maybe you investing in some racehorses with your newly found riches. Have you ever been a horse owner or any desire to do so?
No, I've never been a horse owner. I would probably love to be a horse owner, at least the percentage or whatever. I'd love that.
Well, I think a few people might be following you today in the paddock, maybe convincing you of some opportunities to invest in racehorses. And of course, you love the game, and we're looking forward to getting your handicapping opinions. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's special Holiday Monday racing.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Here are the early changes. The track is fast, the turf is firm. The rail on the turf is at 0 feet. The first race starts the 50-cent early pick 5. Scratch number 7, East Rand. And with that scratch, no high 5 wagering in the opener. Race 2 started the early pick 4. Number 6, Real Pouch, 6 pounds over. There are no changes in the third race. The third race starts the Rainbow Pick 6, and with the mandatory payout yesterday, a fresh pool begins today. Race 4 started the late pick 5, just the blinker note. The 5th is the Spring Fever Stakes, as well as the beginning of the late pick 4. No changes. No changes in the 6th. The 7th, the Tis Now Stakes, is the start of the Golden Hour pick 4. We have a blinker note in this race, which you can always find on the bottom of the program page. And in the 8th start of the Golden Hour double, scratch the also eligibles 10, 11, and 12. Thanks for joining us on this special holiday program at Santa Anita Park. Beer and soda available for just $1. Hot dogs, $2 as part of the special holiday racing card. At this time, we'll go back to Quigley's Corner. We have 59 minutes to post, with the opener coming at 12:30. Tom's special guest on the seminar today is Chris Piper.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with horse player Chris Piper. You just heard Frank Maramati say that it's dollar day, dollar beers and dollar sodas. The guest today could buy 1.2 million hot dogs and still break even because he won $1.2 million in the Circus Survivor tournament held in Las Vegas, Nevada. 4,000 people put up $1,000. The owner of the property guaranteed a $6 million pool. It was a natural overlay. There were 5 winning contestants when the dust settled at the NFL season, and Chris was one of them. He won $1.2 million. Chris, you're not going to buy 1.2 million worth of 1.2 million hot dogs today for Dollar Day, but what do you plan to do with the money? You've got obviously kids and grandkids. I'm sure they're kind of chirping in your ear a little bit. Any special plans?
Oh, they already chirped. They already got some of it already. And they're talking about going on some vacations together and all that. And maybe a vehicle here or there for them.
But you're a Renaissance man. You've traveled around the world. As a matter of fact, part of the reason for coming to Southern California this weekend was not only to take in the races here, but you also went cross town to the Riviera to take in the golf tournament over there as well. I'm sure you'll do some exotic traveling down the line, right?
Oh, for sure.
For sure. Well, now we need to pay for our own exotic travels because we're hoping you're going to give us some winners today on today's 8-race card. So let's kind of take a look at the card, beginning with race number 1, which starts the popular 50-cent early pick 5. And as you heard Frank Maramati say, we are on the turf course. There is one program change if you have the program in front of you. The turf rails today are at 0 feet. Their natural setting, the turf rails are at 0 feet. And we kick things off with starter allowance types. And we've got a field of 6 with the scratch of number 7, East Rand, who will not compete. The morning line favorite in the current betting choice is number 5, Nerves of Steel from the Bill Spar Barn. Just missed last time out, Chris. Who do you like in this race and why?
I like the 2 horse. I think he might be lone speed and he might go wire to wire. This turf course, especially mile distance or whatever, has basically shown speed, and I like the 2. And my numbers are basically the 2 and the 1. The 1 had a little trouble last time out. So those are the 2 horses I like, are the 2 and the 1.
As you can see on the screen, Chris, as you mentioned, your top 2 picks are number 2, Explosive, number 1, La La Land. I should have asked you before I started putting you to the task of handicapping. What type of handicapper are you? I see the racing form in front of you, but at the same time, you've already talked about maybe the pace dynamics of the race as well as watching race replays or maybe having a photographic memory. I'm not sure which, but what do you do when you kind of crack open the racing form for the first time and try and identify some winners?
When I basically look at it, I look at winning form horses. I look at third off a layoff. I look at workouts. I try to see what the trainer and owner are basically doing with a horse, what they're trying to do, whether they're changing from turf to dirt to sprint to route. And replays are also very important.
And which is the case here with Explosive, going from a sprint to a route, as you mentioned, likely that he'll flash a lot of early speed and maybe be the controlling speed.
Correct. That was the bottom line with Explosive, because I'm going it's there's hardly any speed in this race, and I'm going if he gets out there and he gets horses, if they get out there and on the front end, they might not stop.
And it pumps up their chest a little bit, right? When they're on an easy lead and uncontested, and
Sure.
all of a sudden they find a lot more courage than you would normally expect.
Sure, just like that last night, the last race yesterday or whatever, going 6.
Correct.
Furlongs. The horses got out there and boom, it was wire to wire.
Congratulations to the Richard Mandela barn. Both yesterday and the day before, Richard Mandela was victorious in our nightcap. We'll see if that's potentially the case today. Also, Chris, just another question for you. You talked about, winning, or I've talked about extensively about you winning $1.2 million, but you're also a horse player, as we've been talking about. Playing the horses is one of your passions, and you live in Las Vegas, Nevada, where there's certainly plenty of gambling alternatives. But you were also at the NHC. You didn't qualify this year, but you were trying to help some friends. You enjoy playing in horse racing tournaments.
Oh, I love tournaments.
And why is that?
I think it's basically getting together with people you haven't seen maybe for a while, and understanding what they like, what their different variables are with the racing. And I don't know, it's just, there's an excitement there, especially when you have 500-600 people in a room trying to win a tournament. And the tournaments, I've been a tournament player since the mid 80s. For bankroll tournaments to World Series of horse racing to the NHC. I just love it.
And it's value, right? A lot of players don't participate in tournaments, but they should, because there's so much extra value when you play in the tournaments. It's not quite to the level of the Circus Survivor tournament that you played in for the NFL. But at the same time, if you have a good day in a live money tournament, especially with the prize money and the extra bonus seats that are awarded to the top prize earners, you can actually, really hit one out of the park.
Oh, sure. Most definitely.
Yep. Well, let's see if we can hit one out of the park in race number 2. We begin the 50-cent early pick 4 in race number 2. Same distance as the first race, except we switch surfaces. This race is on the main track. Maiden claiming $20,000 is the tag, a field of 6. There is one 3-year-old in the field. This race is for 3-year-olds and up. On the bottom, number 6, Real Pouch. But the morning line favorite, number 2, Viraggio from the Sean McCarthy barn, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. My tongue is twisted today, Chris, so I'm going to shut up and you tell us who's going to win this race.
Well, I like in this race, I was going between the 1 and the 2, and basically it was a coin flip. So I'm going to play an exacta box here because to me it was another, it's a bottom maiden race. I like the 1 and the 2, and I think the other horses, they might run, but those are the ones I like the best.
Let's talk about number 1, Whiskey Vision, who's one of your top 2 selections in the race. 0 for 10 maiden. That might scare some people away, but obviously has some speed. Is that one of the reasons why you like Whiskey Vision, despite the disappointing career record?
Well, I like that. Plus, he also has the bullet workout. And, horses, when they have a bullet workout, it always shows me that they're feeling good. They're ready to run. So.
And you talked about earlier on the importance of jockey trainer and the combination thereof. Do you spend a lot of time maybe looking at that in your handicapping? And we're not going to name any names, but are there certain connections where you basically would draw a big line through it?
So, not too much. I'm not too much a trainer jockey or whatever. It's basically the trainers are looking at certain things or whatever. But it's like I want to make sure that the horse is working out and ready to roll. That's the biggest thing.
Fair enough. Let's take a look at race number 3. Begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. Everything got paid out yesterday, so we start fresh. No carryover here, and we kick it off sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the main track for $20,000 claimers, non-winners of 3 races lifetime. Field of 6, number 6, Gerlach's on the bottom, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Second off the claim for the Rafael de Leon barn. Give us your thoughts on race 3, Chris.
Well, this is a race. I basically have 2 horses that are third off a layoff. In a sense, it's not really that much of a layoff, but the 6 and the 5 are the 2 horses I came up with, and the 6 probably bigger than the 5 in price in basically having the horse that I want to win. He looks like he's got speed, and the other horse will probably, the 5 horse probably will came in second. That's probably another one of my exactas.
It's an old school handicapping angle, but let's kind of focus on it a little bit. You talked about third off the layoff, and it makes sense from a logical standpoint, but tell the viewers why you prefer horses third off the layoff.
Well, because normally it takes a little while for them to get going, and for some reason that's always worked for me, is the third off the layoff.
And now some trainers obviously point horses off a long layoff and are effective in winning.
Right.
Do you look at trainer statistics as well and kind of identify what the trainer's pattern is like?
Yes.
Fair enough. 5 and 6, 6 and 5 to kick things off in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. Let's take a look at race number 4. We're back on the turf course. We're back at the mile distance. This is for maiden special weight, Calbred, fillies and mares. It also begins the 50-cent late pick 5 on today's 8-race card. We've got a field of 6, and the overwhelming morning line favorite is number 5, Kitten's Kid, who is taking the blinkers off. Before we get your selections on the race, Chris, I wanted to watch the replay for January 14th. The second race here at Santa Anita was 1 mile in distance on the turf course. 5 of the 6 runners in here exit that exact race. And so I want you to pay attention to all the runners and listen to Frank Miramatti's call on the replay, because I think it'll help you and also Chris identify who the potential winner of race 4 might be today.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Very clean beginning. Feeling Graceful is going to the front. Austin James comes to challenge. Kitten's Kid in between, and Self-Isolation on the outside is now wrangled back in 4th. They're followed by She's Our Arch 5th. Tis My Princess in the Dermanuel Orange is second to last, about 6 lengths off the lead. And it's another couple back to Ella Calamaramu. Around the first turn they go, and it's Feeling Graceful in front by 1.5 lengths. Austin James in second. Kitten's Kid in a little bit title on the inside, but comfortable enough in 3rd. Then Self-Isolation in 4th, followed by Tis My Princess, 4.5 off the lead. She's Our Arch is next, and another 2 to Ella Calamaramu. They're heading to the half-mile pole, and it's Feeling Graceful in front, 3/4 of a length to Austin James in second. Now self-isolation moving after the top pair, and self-isolation on even terms with the front runner. And now suddenly Feeling Graceful digs in again, has it by a head. Self-isolation second. In between them, Austin James has lost 3/4 of a length third. Kitten's Kid is racing in fourth. On the inside, Tis My Princess, 4 lengths off the lead. Ella Calamaramu trying to launch a bid. Blue Cap on the outside of She's Our Arch. They're at the top of the stretch. Feeling Graceful and Self-Isolation, joined on the outside by Kitten's Kid, who has a clear path. Feeling Graceful on the outside, Kitten's Kid. In between them, Self-Isolation. Feeling Graceful, very tough on the front end. And Feeling Graceful earns the victory and finishes full of run two. Kitten's Kid second. Self-Isolation, Ella Calamaramu, and Tis My Princess.
A lot going on there, Chris, watching the replay. Self-Isolation made an early move, kind of hung a little bit. Kitten's Kid had all sorts of trouble, got out late, but really wasn't able to quicken. There were others in that race that we watched as well that are running in race number 4. A lot to digest here. How did you digest it?
Well, I think Self-Isolation is probably the horse to beat, and I played it 4-5.
And we talked about equipment changes and distance changes. Kitten's Kid's taking the blinkers off. First time in his 7-race career once he goes in the starting gate today. Does that have any impact on maybe how you kind of view the race or how he's going to run?
Not really. Not really. I think that, sometimes the blinkers work, sometimes the blinkers don't. You never know. I like when blinkers are on the second time out, especially with maidens. It just seems like they run a lot better. This horse is be 7th time that they'll be out or whatever. He likes to hang. It looks like.
She sure does, as a matter of fact. 4-5-5-4 in race number 4. Let's take a look at race number 5. Begins the 50-cent late pick 4, and it's one of 2 stakes races on today's card. It's the Spring Fever Stakes for fillies and mare Calbreds, going 6 furlongs on the main track, a field of 5, and the overwhelming favorite, the undefeated in her career, 5 for 5. Number 5, Becca Taylor, 4-5 on the morning line, and perhaps even going lower than that. What say you about race 5, Chris?
This looks like a definitely a single right here. I mean, Becca Taylor's. How can you do any better? 5 out of 5.
Now, having said that, and I think most handicappers would agree with you, like, what's the limitation in terms of price? In other words, you might single her in a pick 5 or a pick 6, but would you still go up to the window if she was up there blinking lights at 3-5 and make a win bet, or do you kind of back off a little bit based upon whatever odds criteria you have?
I'd kind of back off, especially at 3-5 or 2-5 or whatever. It's no value right there.
What are the odds criteria? In other words, you love a horse or a filly and they're on the board at 7-5. Is that acceptable odds, or do you
7-5 is fine.
Okay.
Above. Sure, especially if the horse is, it comes to my, to my liking in a sense. I like horses that could basically go wire to wire. And if I have a horse that shows, no other horse shows speed or whatever, and I'm getting 7-5, I'm doubling my money. It's better than 110 to win 100 in a football game.
Well, you read my mind, actually, because I was going to talk to you a little bit more about that. You live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and of course, you've got plenty of wagering opportunities. But in my opinion, of course, I'm jaded. I think horse racing is one of the best gambling sports alive. I think it blows the doors off sports wagering or any of the table games you can play in Las Vegas. Do you agree? And if you do, why?
Sure. If you have a horse, just say you got a 5-horse field here, and you had Becca Taylor at say 7-5,
which you're not going to get, but I understand.
No, you're not going to get that. Yeah. You're probably going to get 3-5 or 2-5.
Right.
Sure. But if you're going to play 110 to win 100 on a football game,
and you got to sweat it out for 2.5 hours.
No, longer than that. Or at least if it's college, it's 4 hours. If it's pros, it's 3 hours. But you're talking about a minute, to not even 2 minutes because you got to go a mile and a quarter. But it's done. It's over with.
And the good thing is you can always turn the page if you're not right, and there's another race either in 15 minutes on the simulcast feed or another 30 minutes right here at the local home track.
Oh, that's for sure.
Let's take a look at race number 6, back on the turf course, back at a mile distance for fillies and mares. Starter allowance types. This is actually a mirror image of race number 1, except this is for fillies and mares. We've got a field of 7, and the morning line favorite is number 1, Agree to Disagree. 8-5 on the morning line for trainer Pete Urton. Once again, we're going to watch the replay of Agree to Disagree's last performance on January 9th. Also out of that race is an interesting runner, in my opinion, number 5. Jimmy Smoke Carrot also runs in the same race that we're going to watch Agree to Disagree. Agree to Disagree will be easy to follow. Down on the rail in the little red feather colors. Jimmy Smoke Carrot breaks out of post 7 in a field of 8. Let's watch that replay from January 9th right here at the Great Race Place.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Miss Tokyo is out quickly for the early lead. Bestrella, Freedom Last on the outside, is up close too. They're joined by Unicorn, who's 4 wide by the stands the first time. Jimmy's Smoked Carrot is next on the outside of Agree to Disagree. The 2 trailers, Pop Pop's Dream and Peace Pipe, is at the back of the field. Around the first turn they go, and it's Miss Tokyo leading it by about a half length. Unicorn is in second, followed by Bestrella. Freedom Last to the outside is in fourth, now 3 lengths off the lead. Then comes Agree to Disagree, who's comfortably placed in fifth. A half length to Jimmy's Smoked Carrot, another couple back to Peace Pipe, and Pop Pop's Dream at the back. Half mile left to run. It's still Miss Tokyo and Unicorn stride for stride heading into the far turn. Just behind them, Bestrella and Freedom Last right together. Agree to Disagree fifth, 4 lengths off the lead. Jimmy's Smoked Carrot is next. Then Pop Pop's Dream and Peace Pipe around the turn. And Unicorn kicks away now. Unicorn leads a length and a half. Freedom Last moves into second. Miss Tokyo is losing ground at the rail in third. Far outside, Pop Pop's Dream in the orange. Jimmy Smoked Carrot, 1 from the outside. They turn for home. Unicorn, Freedom Last right up alongside. A continued rally from Pop Pop's Dream, who's flying on the outside, followed by Jimmy Smoked Carrot. And Pop Pop's Dream takes off under Kyle Frey, trying to get to Freedom Last. And it will be Pop Pop's Dream to win. Freedom Last was second. It's a photo for third that went to Jimmy Smoked Carrot, then Agree to Disagree, and Unicorn.
We just saw Chris, Jimmy Smoked Carrot, and Agree to Disagree be in a photo for the third place finish back on January 9th. But the contention runs deep in this field. Talk to us about who you like in race 6.
Well, this is the toughest race I thought for the day. I wound up going with the favorite, but I mean, there's so many horses here. I also like the 3, and the 7's a tricky horse because he's 3 times he's at Golden Gate or whatever. He performed really well. He didn't perform very, very good down here, but John Sadler seems to always have his horses ready. He looks like the sneaky horse as a 7.
And you mentioned you kind of like the favorite, but at the same time, there's plenty of price possibility in this race as well. I'm sure you'll pay close attention to the odds board and maybe factor in which way you're going to lean. Again, if Agree to Disagree gets overbet, you might go in a different direction, even though you kind of think he's the most probable winner.
Sure.
Let's take a look at race number 7. Begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4 on today's 8-race card. As you'll recall, I said in the opening, the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4 paid yesterday paid in excess of $990. And we kick things off here with the Tiz Now Stakes. Good memories of Tiz Now, the 2-time Breeders' Cup winner. Calbreds going 1 mile on the main track, a field of 5. The Moyne Line favorite, number 4, Brickyard Ride, who we know is very fast and we know can get 1 turn. Do you think Brickyard Ride can get 2 turns today, Chris?
That's the interesting part. You know, he's raced it many times, going 6 and 7 furlongs, but never has gone a mile. So it should be interesting for that extra distance.
And let's talk about specifically who you like. Are you going to put Brickyard Ride on top, or are you going to go in a different direction?
This could be one of those races where if you're playing the pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, you hit the all button and hopefully hit a price, because there's going to be I think a lot of people singling this horse. But if you haven't gone the distance, you know how it is. Sometimes you just don't get that last part.
Race number 8 closes out the day. Keep in mind, racing resumes here at Santa Anita on Friday. We have an 8-race card starting at 12:30. But first things first, we close it out with the $5 Golden Hour Daily Double. We're sprinting 6 furlongs on the flat turf course for maiden special weight Calbreds, 3-year-olds. Take note, it's a field of 9. The morning line favorite, number 8, You Babe, is 8-5 on the morning line. Disastrous start last time out, crosstown at Los Alamitos. Now adds Lasix and goes back on the turf course. Give us a winner to close it out, Chris.
Well, Sadler has 2 horses here, and I like his other horse. I like Rocky Gibraltar. And I also like a first-time starter. I like the 1 horse. He's got a couple workouts that basically can surprise there, I think. So
5 and 1. I'm sorry, Chris, for interrupting you in the nightcap. Let's talk about the inside horse, number 1, Bags Gold, the aforementioned first-time starter. You talked about workouts. What about breeding? Do you spend, or pedigree? Do you spend any time kind of looking at horses' pedigree, or is that an expertise that you need more work on?
A little bit more work on. I know a lot of people love the breeding, and I don't really look at that. I know I have a few friends that's all they look at is the breeding, but myself, no, I don't.
And I wanted to revisit a point you mentioned earlier, Chris, that I found very interesting. You like coming to the track, or you like going to the tournaments because you like sharing opinions and learning from other handicappers. What things maybe have you learned from other handicappers? We just talked about pedigree. That's kind of what sparked the question. A lot of handicappers do focus on pedigree, and you probably can learn from them. But what are some of the things over the years when you've been hanging out with friends or new acquaintances that you've learned from other horse players?
Well, a lot of people look at different things. They look at different tracks. Different tracks, there might be a speed track. Might also being the rails out might be speed during that time period too. It all depends on. I know a lot of people basically will that are friends of mine look at different things too with the workouts, the replays, the breeding. All kinds of different variables. I mean, each person has their own opinion, and that's what happens. You have your opinion. That's why you go to the windows.
Well, you're going to have an opinion on the NFL season next year. Of course, you turned a $1,000 investment at the Circus Survivor Pool into $1.2 million. Are you looking forward to the NFL season, or do you have such a headache and from all the intensity that you're kind of taking a step back before you actually get involved in doing your research for next year's season?
Basically a step back. I mean, it was kind of a grind there at the end. I enjoyed it, to basically make the money, but it was a grind, especially the last couple weeks or whatever with my son in my ear all the time. So it was like, okay, that's fine. I understand, but I've done this for 16, 17, 18 weeks or whatever. Let me handle it.
Well, we enjoyed having you as a guest, Chris, and we certainly enjoyed hearing your story of how you turned that small investment into somewhat of a life-changing score. So congratulations. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the insight today. Continued success, and keep me in mind next time you go on an exotic trip.
Okay, great.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Good luck today at the races. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati, updating us with any program changes. Have fun, everybody, and enjoy Dollar Day at the Great Race Place.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. The track is fast, the turf is firm, rail on the turf will be at 0 feet today. No new changes since you were updated 30 minutes ago. In the first race, no high five wagering. Scratch number 7, East Rand. Early pick 5 begins with the first. Race 2 starts the early pick 4. Number 6, Real Pouch, 6 pounds over. 8 race card today, so the Rainbow Six starts with race 3. There's a fresh pool this afternoon. Turning to the 4th, start of the late pick 5, just a blinker note. 5th race, the Spring Fever Stakes, starts the late pick 4 with no changes. There are no changes in the 6th. The Tis Now Stakes is race 7, start of the